Okay, folks, welcome to a quick video with regard to UNH stock, UnitedHealth. The stock has obviously been through a very difficult time. What we're going to talk about in this video is the timeline of events that took place to get this stock from where it was to where it is now. We're also going to talk about the valuation of the stock, and we'll talk about the technicals of the stock and what we did last week. Are we bullish or are we bearish on UNH stock? So stick around. Now, before we get into it, I'm recording this on the 17th of May, which is a Saturday. On Friday, the 16th, after the bell, Moody's had come out and downgraded the credit rating of the United States from AAA to AA+. That is going to be huge. So, and I don't mean in a good way, for the overall equity market. Now, I'll talk to you a little bit about why I don't think it's going to impact UNH stock all that much relative to the rest of the market, but it doesn't mean that it is completely impervious to the reaction by the market. So let's begin with the timeline of events that have impacted the share price of UNH. By the way, this video is brought to you by our sponsors over at TrendSpider. The reason why I found UNH stock as being a perfect stock to buy at the perfect support levels was due to their multi-time frame functionality. I'm going to show you exactly what I was looking at when I decided to pull the trigger on UNH stock when nobody else wanted it. So please help support the channel, like, subscribe, and take advantage of TrendSpider's bare minimum 35% discount using the link below on YouTube, link above on Twitter. Let's get to it. So UNH stock, a little bit of history here, peaked out back here in November of 2024. Not that long ago, not even a year. And the shares had hit, I did not draw these trend lines. The trend lines on TrendSpider draw themselves. They hit the upper band of resistance and were subsequently rejected. Not one resistance level, but two. We broke through in November of 2024, resistance which had been there for about 2 months. The problem was that in December, even though we closed above support in November, failed to hold it in December. Once we broke down below support at $5.44 per share, that's when things got real fast. Let's talk about the timeline of events that have occurred since that point in time. So December 4th, 2024, Brian Thompson, CEO of UNH, was assassinated. He was murdered. February the 25th, the cybersecurity breach leaked a bunch of data about patients out into the dark web. April 17th, 2025, earnings miss, guidance cut. In fact, they eliminated guidance for the rest of the year. So right there, that's when the black hole of HELL opened up for the share price. And then you have on May the 13th, the CEO, only a short-termer at the helm, just resigned. And a prior CEO, the CEO was CEO Andrew Whitty. He resigned abruptly. Then you had CEO Stephen Helmsley returned to the lead of UNH. And since that point in time, the share price is down 18% since May the 13th. Now, many would say, oh my God forbid you touch that stock. It's craziness. Is it? Is it really? Or was it an opportunity where you found finally where the institutions, the fund managers, were in panic mode? There are two goes in trading that you must know to take advantage of the street. You must know the algo and you must know the ego. So in this case here, you had both factors at play. The algos, we broke support levels. They just sold. They're completely emotionless, as a great trader should be. The ego is that these fund managers do not want the shares of UNH on their balance sheet when they send out their monthly statements, quarterly statements. They want to pretend that they never own the stock. As much as they could avoid that phone ringing saying, why do you own this stock? They will do it. They will do it. So they'll go on to CNBC. They'll say, oh, no, we sold UNH stock. But CNBC won't be as diligent enough to do a follow-up question and say, you know what, did you sell it before the major correction in May, or did you just sell it after? Did you panic? Did your knees buckle? And did you panic while guys like me were saying, okay, now is the time to pounce? Fast forward, May the 15th, 2025, DOJ investigation, and blah, 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 blah. So usually you get the DOJ investigation, then you get the change in the CEO spot. It's inverted this time around, but so what? So all we wait for now is whatever settlement they come out with. They throw a couple of $1 billion at the problem. The share prices guess what happens when they announce a settlement to this investigation? Shares go up. They go up, not down, up. Even if it's got a big $1 billion bill next to it, what the street wants is resolution. We're not there yet. Right now, we're in trade mode where we're bouncing off of extreme levels, and that I think that we could see some more upside potential. I thought we had more on Friday, but given the downgrade by Moody's, it's going to make for a very, very dicey Monday morning. So that's going to begin actually on Sunday night. So please join us here as we are every Sunday night here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday Night Futures Live. Join us live as we watch the opening price action of the major averages. Don't miss it. Like, subscribe. You know the deal. Okay, and click that notification bell. All right, so that's the story of where UNH has been. A dramatic sell-off from the high. And let's talk about what we saw last week in the share price. Here's the weekly chart. And you can see that the shares have been breaking through support levels like a hot knife through butter. And when you see that, in particular, when you see that on volume, and when you see a break of support levels, as we saw here, multiple, in April through May, and you see it come on rising sequential down volume, that's institutional distribution, and you really don't want to fight these guys all too much. You want to wait for them to get done with their selling, and then maybe step in for a trade or an investment. So why did I do it? Why did I step in here? So let's take a look at the daily chart for a moment. And when we bring up RSI, you could see that we hit an 11 handle on RSI. So when I see that on an S&P 500 stock, it's like the golden unicorn. You rarely see it. And so I said, you know what? Okay, let's begin bull operations here on UNH. Let's begin to accumulate a position. And that's exactly what we did. And if you drill down to a 4-hour view, the 4-hour view, you could see here on the 15th, a horrible, horrible pre-market overnight session. Then you had the open. It was an inside bar. And then you had some buying into the close. And to me, that was like, okay, we're good here, especially with daily RSI at an 11 handle. Now, back to the daily chart. Not only were we looking at the RSI as our indicator, we also leveraged the fractal trend lines here on TrendSpider. And what we saw was a hammering down into the lower band of the fractal downtrend channel. And what did we do? We bounced. We bounced well off of it. And this is an important feature on TrendSpider due to the fact that if you sold up here in April of this year, you would have avoided all of this damage. So we took advantage of RSI being oversold. We took advantage of the headline news being so ridiculously bad and the Wall Streeters, the smartest guys in the room, panicking. And the fact that we hit technical support levels, using the fractal trend lines, I just couldn't resist but to begin bull operations. So in addition, when you go to the weekly chart and you overlay the automated trend lines, you can see that this is where we began buying, down here. Not up here, down here. When we hit these support levels, I said, okay, so you're telling me that I have blood in the streets. I have RSI on an S&P 500 stock that is at an 11 handle. I'll probably never ever see that again on UNH stock in my lifetime. You're also telling me that I have weekly support that is being tested at current, and on a 4-hour time frame, we have stopped going down. That pre-market activity did not result in a major continuation move lower intraday. And when we got the inside bar later in the day on a 4-hour time frame, that told me that they're going to try to take this thing up. Shorts are going to cover, as they should. How much lower on RSI are you going to get? How much lower against weekly support are you going to get before you get a bounce? A smart short would know. Book profits now. So back to the charts. I want to go to a quarterly chart. Let's take all the noise off of the screen, and let's bring up the revenues for UNH stock. So here is the revenue growth for UNH. Now, granted, their last quarterly report was not great, but their revenues continue to rise. So it's not as if we had such a horrific quarter that it warrants this type of a devaluation in the share price. Granted, they pulled guidance. That's probably one of the worst things that they could have done to impact the share price, because one thing that the street does not like is indecision. The DOJ investigation, that could be papered over with money. It's going to be just green mail by the government. So that's not the big problem here. The big problem is the lack of visibility for the share price. Now, when we take a look further at the valuations of the stock, here is UNH. Here's their earnings, which just dropped off of a cliff. Even though revenues continue to rise, looks like their costs increased, but their growth rate continues to rise. This is their net income. The PE multiple is 12.13, price to book 2.81. Let's see where that takes us on a historical level. I mean, we've been as high as a 37.65 handle on the PE multiple going back 10 years. Now, we're at the lowest multiple that we've seen in the past 10 years. Price to book, the lowest level in the past 10 years. Sales over the past 10 years, the lowest level that is on this chart, it's the lowest level going back to 2015. UNH's revenue is up 8% year on year and by 2.4% since the previous quarter. The stock's price to sales is 50% less than its 5-year quarterly average of 1.3 and 46% less than its last 4 quarters of 1.2. So tell me that we don't have a bargain sale going on here without telling me that we have a bargain sale going on here. So that's why I began bull operations on UNH. Now, again, folks, we're going to have a rocky beginning of the week next week. I'll be talking about the downgrade on tomorrow night, Sunday Night Futures Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be the 18th of May. We're going to talk about the comparison as to what we can expect moving forward due to the downgrade tomorrow night relative to the S&P downgrade that we saw back in 2011. And it wasn't pretty. And the equity markets now are far more overvalued today than they were back then. So stick around, join us as the futures open, and don't forget our partners over at TrendSpider, good enough to sponsor this video. Automated technical analysis. I've showed you the tools that I use to identify opportunities that pretty much nobody else uses, and I get reports on how we do promoting the product for TrendSpider. And the one thing that shocks me is that the lack of cancellations. People who sign up don't cancel. So if you're not using TrendSpider, you're missing an arrow in your quiver as a trader. I mean, head on over, use the link below, scroll through all the tools that they have there. back testing, strategy tester, fundamental analysis. I showed you the revenue growth chart, scanning for trade ideas. I use this all the time. Their AI modeling tool. Their alerts are fantastic. I use them all the time. I usually set my alerts live on Sunday nights for several stocks. So please head on over. Bare minimum, you'll get a 35% discount off of the plan you select using discount code CON35. Again, CON35. Head on over. Link below on YouTube. Link above on Twitter. Thanks for being here. Like, subscribe. Join us on Sunday Night Futures Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talk to you soon. Have a profitable trading week. Be well.